On my crops that I've used Avail, I usually mix it with 1034-0, and sometimes in the past, last year's wheat crop, I mixed the dry fertilizer with the wheat and drilled it together. Now this year I went with liquid 1034-0 with the Avail and put it right in the row. So I think both ways is going to have the same benefits, but it's a little easier to use the liquid product when you just pull up to the drill and fill the tank and apply it. So that's how I've used Avail with the wheat. The corn and milo is, this is going to be the first crop, and because of the weather situation, we haven't been able to do much of the harvest yet, so we don't know. One drawback to this year, about everything has been hailed, and so I think if the products Avail help like I think they are, I think we're going to have stronger stocks and things like that, and lodging hopefully won't be as great as it could be. On my wheat, what I saw from Avail this year, it was a beautiful level field. The terraces on some of the land, you couldn't tell from the flat areas as opposed to the terrace channels, because with all the moisture and rain that we had this year, a lot of times those areas go down and get twisted up, and it was a joy to harvest the terraces as well as the flatland. The only result that I've seen so far as a harvest was an excellent wheat crop. We were in the mid-80s, and that is amazing for western Kansas. So we attribute some of that to the Avail and some of it to the weather. Without both, you're not going to be successful. We did a check strip through the field, and it seemed like when we went across that strip that did not have the product on the fertilizer, that we could see with the yield monitor about a 5 to 7 bushel crop through that little strip as we went across it each time. I don't order my phosphorus either dry or liquid without them putting Avail on. And I have my nephew who farms, he's using it. My brother uses it. I do a lot of farming for my sister, and they're using it also. So I think it's a very good product, and it enhances the possibilities of yield. I've used Nutrisphere on my wheat. A couple weeks before planting, we usually put dry nitrogen out and we spray it with Nutrisphere. On the milo ground, again, similar type of situation. Because we no-till it into our corn stalks, we blow the dry nitrogen on with the Nutrisphere, and then we apply the 1034-0 with Avail with the planter. As far as the wheat, nice and level, there wasn't any wavy spots throughout the field. It stood extremely well with all the moisture that we had through the spring and summer, and our harvest our wheat harvest was about 2 to 3 weeks later than it usually does. So whenever a crop has to stay out there longer than it usually does, you always have a tendency to have some losses and things like that, and we sure didn't see any losses from our wheat crop this year. The bottom line is always how much profit you can make, and to have profit you have to have yield. And then the other thing that I always look for in picking a hybrid or a variety is the quality of the stock, how it can withstand the kind of weather that we might have when the harvest is delayed. So it seems like so far that I've seen good results as far as the enhancement of the crop. I had one neighbor who drove by one of the wheat fields that had both products on, and they could see it was a different color as opposed to the one on each side of it. And I said, well, it probably cost a little bit more to have that healthy greener color in the wheat at the during the June period when it was flowering. But when the bushels came in, we were well pleased. I don't put anything on in preparation for with my fertilizer without the two products, and I'm sold 100% on it. To me, it's common sense, and if you can improve your plant and the health of the plant, you're going to improve your yield, and yield is what we're after. Health of it, you're going to improve your yield is what we're after. After.